And we can start by the opening prayer, which is going to be given today by Mary Ann Langmaid, Reverend.
Thank you for inviting me to do this tonight. So let us pray. Heavenly Father, I just thank you for this team of people that you gather together. I thank you for their willingness to serve their community, to be open and to support and help in every way. And so, Father, I just ask, would you pour your wisdom, encouragement, and Father, just lift them up as they continue to walk in this direction. And Lord, that they hear your direction. And Father, that they are just so blessed in all that they do. In Jesus' name, amen.
Thank you. Item number 3, the agenda is a motion to approve the agenda. Can I have a motion?
Okay, I'll second.
I have a second. And all in favor?
Aye.
Item 4, approval Any second? Okay, we have enough. All in favor?
Aye.
Item 4B, approval of minutes of the closed meeting of Council, May 2nd, 2022.
I make the motion to accept the closed-door meeting of Council on May 2nd, 2022.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Conflict of interest declarations. Any conflicts to be declared? No conflicts? And we'll move to delegations. And the first one is by Reverend Mary Ann Langmaid. Mary Ann?
Okay, I'm not sure that it's I can see it. Oh, there it's coming. I'm not sure how much you can see, but
Can we turn the section if we can maybe? Or is there any?
I think that's going to help really.
That's better. That's better.
so I'm asked if I could come this evening to just share what's happening in the community. And so this entails a group of people who began to come together a couple of years ago, and we call ourselves community builders. And so this team of people are nonprofit representatives, government representatives, some church representatives, just anyone who had an interest in what can we do in our community, to an area, Charlotte County, to come together and work together. And our focus became quite focused on the youth. And so with a facilitator who came, she walked us through a program, and our vision statement that we have since come together, it's the Community Builders Network is a provider of brave spaces for all youth in Charlotte County, providing space for youth to heal, connect, and grow, focused on working alongside youth to co-create a brighter future for the region. So that's our hope, that's our desire, and there's multiple things that we do with this community builders. One of the things it enables us to do is people can come from different areas and share what's going on, and we can see how we work together. So for instance, there's the community link in St. Stephen. We just had Keith Pierce, who came and spoke to us this past week just to bring us up to speed what's happening there. Keith is also someone who's working on, if anyone's ever heard of the program, Yes. That was a program that was for youth 15 to 29, and that was to help them find employment or get education, and it started in St. John. So they're now changing that. It's going to be a different name, but that's the program he wants to bring into the area. So that's an example of he's coming, he can share, and we can support. So from that coming together, we began to look at sort of a survey. We did a little survey with different groups and actually went to youth and talked to them as well. And what are the greatest challenges faced by youth? Well, there's the need for healthy environment. That is a real big one. Safe housing for youth, healthy mentors, motivation skills, unemployment, positive momentum, and parental engagement. And then there's the food security, food insecurity, I should say, which we all know that we've had the backpack program, we've had the school breakfasts. We know that there's the need out there. And Charlotte County has very high statistics for our youth in poverty. And matter of fact, if you compared and looked at Toronto, it was very close, percentage-wise. There was also the mental health care access, just the struggles and social anxiety. If you talk to schools, universities, they will tell you just they are shocked at how much of a need there is in mental health. And even when we went to talk to some of the young people, they talked about the stresses they felt and the struggles that they had. And also the limited resources. Just how do you deal with everyday challenges? What is out there and what's available for them? And so when we began to look at these things, we came up with some hopes, some plans. And so we came into 4 groups. We began to think, what were the 4 areas? There's lots of areas we could work on, but what were 4 areas? One is called the Unicorn Cohort, and that was to seek who our young people are as leaders and help them to grow, help them to develop, help them to be a part of what's happening in our community, and recognizing that they can lead us in amazing ways. Then there's the Unity Festival. And the Unity Festival is where the communities come together with music, food. There would be displays. We had hoped to be able to get that going this year, but we think it's going to be another year before we do that. We'd like the youth to be a part of operating that and getting that going. Then there's the Bloom Market. So the Bloom Market is recognizing that our young people, several of them, are little entrepreneurs. How do we help them? How do we develop that? How do we help them to learn and to grow? And so we've called it the Bloom Market. We're actually hoping that they'll have a little market in June, and that we'll get another one if it's possible at the Family Fun Days, that they will be able to have the little market as well. Again, this came from them, meeting with them and asking them, so do you work? And we were really surprised of several of them saying, yeah, I make things. Well, how do you sell them? On Facebook or on, it's not Facebook, it's the, I'm not good with my media, but it's all through media that they've just taken on, making bracelets, making earrings, those kind of things. So we want them to learn more And we're hoping that different groups will come and be mentors to them, help them develop and help them to grow. And then the fourth group was Community Hub. From St. Mark's, we have a building that we felt we could offer to be used for our young people. Not so much to be a youth drop-in, that wasn't the idea, but to be a place where they can learn, where they can grow. Again, you won't quite see all of those, but to give them a place for engagement, a place to go and eat. We'd love to eventually start, having a dinner once a week. A place that's quiet. One of the young people said to us, it would be really good if some kids who have chaos at home could go somewhere and get their homework done. And so we'll have that opportunity. A place to talk, a place for theirs to find support, a place to learn. We have Big Brothers, Big Sisters who want to come and do a program. We have Boys and Girls Club who have said they too would come and do some programs. Develop the leadership and give them the opportunity for a place for creativity. And so those areas within the hub are something that we want to start working towards. And so as the hub, we've already started to work with mental health, CMHA, Charlotte County, or Community Mental Health Association. We also have with them is Work Stronger Together. And so they're helping us to be able to hire some people, to be able to give some people a job, and to be able to, our first focus is to set up a cafe, an internet cafe. And what that will do is that will allow young people to come in and do their homework. And it will give them a copier to be able to print and do things. And it's not just for the young people. It enables people who are looking for a job and need to come in and do some research. So there's all of these things that are going to be available to them, to people who just need that extra support. And the cafe part will also enable people to have some jobs, to be able to give them some work. I had met a person who went into a community and their focus was, how do we help and how do we love people? And so they began by setting up a cafe and they hired someone to do the cleaning. And they helped the person with the cleaning, but they also helped that person find some other people to do cleaning until they could help that person to become, have their own business. And they were able to have their own, and so then they hired someone else. So those are the kind of things that we'd like to see happen. And we just really want to support our youth and give them some support that's just hard to find right now. And so I wanted to come tonight just to say this is what's happening and just to see if there's any questions that anyone might have, just to know what's going on in your community and in your area. So does anyone have any questions, or for people who've been on this committee want to add anything to that?
So I'll add something. I think it was that was the way I actually met you, was through Community Builders. That was the best way that we introduced ourselves. And really, I think you're doing a wonderful job. I think that with the Internet Cafe, it touches on several different important issues that some of our most vulnerable youth are experiencing, which is it could be a lack of internet accessibility. I mean, that's something that I think a lot of people know that is a problem, especially in rural New Brunswick. And having a very quiet and calm space. So yeah, thank you so much for everything that you're doing.
Thanks.
Yeah.
And just to say, one of the thoughts that the reason we went in that direction is because we would end up with lots of kids sitting outside our doorstep plugged into our outlet outside, utilizing the internet outside. And we thought, well, why not have them inside and have some support and some people around them?
We would love to have them, I'm not taking away from Nancy, but we would love to have some of them involved in family fun days in different, any way they'd like to be involved, I guess, because we'd love to have extra volunteers and they can put on a market, whatever they would like to do. We'd love to have them.
Okay, perfect.
Well, that was actually some of the experience, like one of the ideas that we're working on with the community builders, if you don't mind me saying.
Nope.
It's with, one of it is called the Bloom Market,
Yeah,
where you
yes.
would really amplify the voices of, or, the entrepreneurship of students in the community that are selling things. So I think it would go hand in hand with.
It would go, love,
Yeah.
with what we want to do for family fun
Absolutely,
days. Yeah,
yeah.
we'd love to have them.
How is your plan or your implementation of funding for this initiative?
We are in the process of sending out for grants. We're meeting with some people for possible donations. We've had someone say, I'm interested in something like this, and I'd like to be able to support in this. And so part of that's getting word out there. This is what we're doing. So people who may have an interest would like to contribute, and we have started to receive grant money, so that's part of it.
So you have started accessing government
Yes.
funding. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Any other questions?
I guess I'd like to, do you have participants active, do you have an active enrollment now?
No, we're just starting.
Okay,
It's taken us 2 years to keep gathering the people together to be able to figure out exactly where do we want to go and how do we want to do this, as well as to be in contact with the youth so that we're checking with them in what we're doing.
so it takes me then to the next question about how close do you feel that you are to being, like, I want to use the word like on stream, like opening your doors and having a facility that the young people of, I know you're saying Charlotte County, but I guess I see it more as St. George for now, because I think transportation is certainly a barrier.
Yes.
That you can open your doors and have a facility and operating as a registered facility. Where are you in that timeline?
With working stronger together, we will be purchasing computers fairly soon. And so we're just going to be starting small in that sense of we'll have a room and a space for people to come and use those. And we're in the process of hiring some staff because we'll have to have staff to monitor. So I'm hoping within the month we're going to have computers available and start to open it at certain times of the day.
Now, will this address, is part of your plan addressing some of the youth and homelessness?
That would be my love. We don't have the space at this point. We don't have showers to be able to shelter anyone.
Okay.
But that would be my dream.
Okay. And so you mentioned a program, the You Yet, that is 15 to 29. Is this the same age bracket that you're speaking of here in this?
Community Builders felt to go with 11 to 18, but we are in connection with, because there's an overlap there, so it's UYes, and that is in St. Stephen. But if we knew that there were young people here that could, and they're still working on getting their funding to get that going, but if we do find young people that we could get into their program, then that way we could begin to work with some transportation. Transportation is one of
The barriers, yeah.
yeah, and it's one of the topics that we haven't dropped, but we're just sort of trying to get these other 4 areas going, and then we recognize like that is on our list of it's a problem.
Now, you mentioned the link. Are you also working with Jim Stewart in regards to the Neighborhood Works?
That's where Keith has come and represented his part. Yeah.
Okay. Because they're doing some fabulous planning in regards to the purchase of the Old Catholic Church and creating a space there for youth of on all levels, like from housing to entrepreneur to learning and everything. Yeah.
Yes.
It would be a great link between the two communities for sure.
Yes. Yes. And that's what we want to be able to do, is keep supporting and acknowledging each other.
Any other question? Thank you, Marianne.
Thank you for
you
letting
very
me
much
come
for
do
coming.
this.
The next delegation is the Pickleball Club.
Hi, I am Sari Hatt. I'm here on behalf of St. George Pickleball. Our group has come up with a significant amount of funds that we've raised through Chase the Ace, and Cook Aquaculture has also donated some money, and we would like to redo half of the tennis courts as pickleball courts. And hopefully, with your help and permission, that is what we're going to do. So we, with the help of Andrea Mason and her office, we've applied for some fund matching, and we were talking to Jason, and with your help, with the $5,000, we will have $50,000 saved up, and with fund matching from the government, which Andrea seems to think we should be able to qualify for, we have all of the money to do everything to redo the whole courts. I don't know if any of you have ever played pickleball. It's lots of fun. It's for all ages. We have our youngest member that comes and plays is 8, I think, and the oldest is 74. So it's wide range. It's for everybody. It's kind of like tennis, but it's a smaller court, so there's not as much running, so older people can do it as well as younger people. I have a list of everything here that I've passed out of all the different quotes that we have. It's around $100,000 with everything. We hope to replace all of the nets, have 8 courts, and we wanted to redo the stairs that are there right now into a ramp for wheelchair accessibility. If that's something that you guys are willing to let us do. That's pretty much it. We just wanted to let everybody know that this is what our plan is. And do you have any questions?
So you're not taking all the tennis courts?
Nope, leaving the front part, and we're
okay.
going to take the back part.
And make that in that
Yeah.
small, okay.
There's a lot of really big cracks there, so
Okay.
it's very difficult to play. So we need to have the whole thing resurfaced.
Right.
And the pickleball courts are half the size of
Okay,
a
so that's
tennis
right,
court.
right, yeah.
So where we have 3 tennis courts on one side, we can fit 8 comfortably on the other side. So once we have everything up and going, which hopefully will be by fall, if as long as the government funding comes through, then in the fall we can have tournaments, which will bring in tourism. And pickleball is like the fastest growing sport in Canada and in the world. It's everywhere. It's on cruise ships. It's like St. John has it, St. Andrews plays, St. Stephen plays, but they all play indoors. So there's not a whole lot of places that play outdoors as well as indoors, because it's something you can do all year. Now that we're through with the COVID rules, we can get back to playing inside as well. But yeah, it's open to everybody. Once we have the courts done, we have all the equipment there. Everything is free. I mean, how many things are there in the world that are free that you can just go do? Not too many. So we have, so you can just come, play, all the equipment's there, you just bring sneakers and water, you're good to go. Well, there's always people there to play, there's always people there to help you with rules. We're willing to put on demonstrations, help youth groups to come in and get like youth teams competing and everything. So we want it for everybody. And because, I mean, the more people that are there, the more fun it is.
So are you gonna have a space to like have the paddles and like a
Yes.
shed?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. The shed. Everything's all right in the quotes. Everything's right there.
Okay, and because I'm one of those people that just like heard of pickleball like in the last like 12 months, I would say. How many sections in the
So there'll be
second half?
8 courts and 4 people per court.
Okay.
You can play singles, but it's a lot harder. A lot more running. So we would need to, on your behalf, was the $5,000 to top up hours to the 50,000 for the fund matching. And we would need, when we get the Playtech to come down and do the resurfacing, we would need a water truck for them to use. And we do have a light quote in here as well, because the lights that are there are not sufficient to play anything at night, because all summer we play until like 9 o'clock. So and it's very, very hard to see. So you know, we would have to replace the lights, which is all included in here. All of the quotes and everything is right there. And that's about it. All we need is a little bit of money, a little bit of permission, we're good to go. And hopefully we'll have everybody coming, having tournaments and playing here in St. George, and like the whole community, it's not just one age group, it's everybody.
So what nights do you play?
We play pretty much any night is nice out. Right now, we have a Facebook group, St. George Pickleball, and we post on there when we're playing, but you can pretty much find us there pretty much any night that it's not raining, and some nights that it is raining. Because we have a very dedicated group of 20 people right now that play, like we play for 2-3 hours every night. I mean, you can come and play for half an hour if you want to, or for an hour or the whole 3 hours. You can come and go as you want. There's no real, legislation or anything that you have to be there so many hours or to be part of our group. Everybody's welcome to come and play as much as or as little as they want to.
I have no idea what pickleball is, not even remotely close to it. But outside of that, you mentioned 2 things. You mentioned the stairs. Mm-hmm. So the stairs, Jason, does that belong to us as a town? So is it our responsibility that we make those safe? What is wrong with the stairs?
The stringers are all rotted.
Then so it's a safety issue? So is that something that as the town, whether it's pickleball or tennis, that we should look after anyway?
Yep.
And we thought where it was stairs now, it would be better to be a ramp where it's so steep. Mm-hmm. Like, I mean, the angle of the hill that you go up to, the stairs are really difficult to traverse. It'd be easier if it was a ramp.
Okay, so and then the lighting, is it just insufficient what MB Power can provide in the dusk to dawns, or is it something special that you need for lighting?
Well, Jason was going to look into the wattage of the lights that are there, because I think they're very low wattage right now, but I didn't know if you had time to look into that yet. But so the lights that we have the quote for are to make sure that you can play in the evenings, because like you really literally cannot see. It's fine to walk across, but I mean, it's not to see a ball coming at you very quickly. Oh, we play under those lights now until we absolutely can't see.
So we're skinny.
Yeah, it is. It's really, really hard to see. And the lights are for the entire court, not just the pickleball court. Mm-hmm. The quote is for like the entire court, tennis and pickleball, so it will benefit both.
So then my next question is personal. Do you give lessons?
Sure, we can, like, we have no problem. We have all discussed it already, that we are totally open to having certain nights come for beginners to teach them ahead of time and you know, kind of get them interested in the sport. We're all willing to give up our time to do that, no problem.
Total amount of money for the project?
It's about $100,000.
For one half of the unit up there.
Just to resurface is 73.
Yeah, I know that.
Yeah, it's big.
But our budget that we have is for the whole thing.
Yep.
Our budget.
Oh, your budget.
Was for that whole court.
Oh, I had no idea that you had a budget to resurface, to do the courts.
Yeah, well, there's some there for it, but it wouldn't be a whole lot.
We don't really need a whole lot. We only need 5,000.
Only 5,000?
Yeah.
Yeah, this one wants 5,000.
So 5,000 is not a whole lot when we've come up with 45. And then hopefully get the rest from the government and match it up.
Yeah. It's not gonna go very far.
I'm very impressed by the leverage. 20 people is $3,500 per person, essentially raising money, which is amazing. As a, you know, as a
Well, there was only 4 of us that raised the money, and none of us are from St. George.
Yeah, no, I mean, this is a very impressive fundraising. I don't know how you managed to do it, but it's really impressive.
Thank you.
I've never seen pickleball. What are the pickles? Just a second. No, seriously.
Pickleball is basically a cross between tennis and ping pong.
Well, ping pong.
Yep, so you have like a ping pong paddle, a big ping pong paddle, and a wiffle ball with the holes in it. But the rules are kind of like tennis. So the best part, in my opinion, of pickleball, other than the company, is that it's such a great stress reliever. You can go up and you can smash that ball as hard as you want to, and it doesn't go anywhere. And, you know, I have hit a few of my teammates. But they're all okay with it, right, Alicia? Yeah, mostly Alicia.
Can I ask you one question with regards to your, I guess, schedule for actually getting the package together? What is your operating schedule for actually getting a commitment from us, a commitment from whatever other partners that you have?
Well, everything's in place right now.
Except us?
Except you and the government matching. But Andrea
matching.
Mason we've already filed all of the paperwork. That should be within a month or so to find out for sure if we get everything. And then the place to come do it, everybody will be right on the schedule, so it'll be in the fall.
Yeah, no. My personal understanding is that $5,000 from the town for getting half of the
right.
courts restored to something that would be used is a very good bargain. And I just want to actually have Jason to actually look as to if we have the money, and if we have it, I personally will support it, and most of the people will support it. So where are we, Jason, with that?
Well, I mean, I guess it would be something that's unbudgeted,
Yeah.
or we would have to sort of do a reallocation of funds that we currently have budgeted, so it would take a little bit of time. Not something I can do tonight. I don't have, the full budget in front of me, but,
We have the money for resurfacing? Oh, okay. No, I mean the leverage of actually spending $5,000 and getting like a $70,000 facility in the town going is a very, very attractive proposition. So leave it with us, and I will actually try to actually. The application with the government was made, right?
Right, yes.
So, and you expect any answer?
Within a month.
Within a month?
Yes.
So hopefully within a month we'll be able to actually tell you that we can be able to support it, so it can actually go.
Perfect.
Thank you very much for the presentation, and one day I'm going to come and see what is pickleball.
Come on up anytime.
Yes.
We'll probably be there tomorrow. Oh, the electricity.
I know.
The electricity, that was the other thing. They just reminded me. To do the the resurfacing, they need access to the water truck, which hopefully the town could provide, and also if they could plug into the RCMP building. So I wasn't sure who is responsible for that. Does the town own the RCMP building, or?
Try to talk to them.
No, federally
Yeah,
owned? Okay,
federally,
all right. So if it's okay with you, we will contact them on the town's behalf to use the electricity out of their little shed there, just for the week and a half that this takes to get done. So hopefully, as long as we have that approval, we should have no problem with
Absolutely,
everything.
yes,
That was the only downside there. Thank you for letting me come and talk to you guys, and hopefully we'll have everything all bright and shiny and new up there come
Well,
fall.
thank you
and
for
I
it.
hope all
Yeah.
of you will come and see us at pickleball.
Absolutely, tennis.
We are moving on to general reports, and we start with the general government report. Jason.
Thank you, Your Worship. For general government report for the month of April, we continue to be awaiting some scheduling of meetings with developers for an apartment building at the corner of School and Carlton Street. I think we finalized that actually perhaps this week to arrange that meeting. We're still working with a developer with Hillside Subdivision, and specific topic is the drainage plan for that area. As far as Riverview, we still have an application pending with the province via the feds for the Riverview water line repairs, as well as an application waiting for approval for preliminary work relating to the industrial park expansion. So both those applications, we yet to hear any type of update on those. Canal Beach construction has begun, currently working on well septic installation and landscaping. I believe this week they'll be starting with pouring concrete for the building pad. We'll also be relocating the current canteen to the rear of the lot to be used as a storage shed. The lower bridge sewage line, this is something that continually keeps coming up. So DTI has officially approved shutting down the bridge to traffic for the means of fixing the installation line, and we are just awaiting an updated quote from the contractor. Street sweeping should be on site this week, sweeping throughout the town. A time capsule, the town is looking into installing a time capsule to commemorate the end of the town's incorporation as we move to municipal reform. We've been incorporated since 1904. Crosswalks versus waiting for paint supply for our public works. We are waiting for some responses from several traffic line companies for crosswalk painting. As some council members may know, we've struggled with some paint supply, and it seems to be just a supply shortage across the nation. Dangerous unsightly properties. We've had some movement on one specific property here in town, and the owners are, instead of sort of trying to put money into an older building, they're going to be removing the building. Capital projects, we have a tender closing tonight, and that will be for a variety of different paving projects throughout town. Walking trail, a few official documents are awaiting signatures, and the project meeting for this construction of the new walking trail and the former rail line off just off of Main Street, which should start this month. Well number 2, public works staff has been busy over the last couple of weeks completing upgrade work to well number 2. That's the well near Day Adventure Center. We hope to finalize much of the project next week to determine if remaining funds are available for the installation of a natural gas generator. Eagle Nest, so we have confirmed that Eagle Nest does still have signage showing that the boat ramp is for non-commercial use. It can be used by private boaters and the like, but not for commercial use. The Goody groundwater under the direct influence study, CBCL Engineering has started with the studies, sort of a desktop study at first, for well 2 and 5. Here in J.O. Spinney Drive, some improvements have been completed to lighting of the courts and some work to be completed on the baseball fields. We've also ordered some picnic tables for the splash pad And the bathrooms at the end of J.F. Spinney will be reopened by the end of this month. And much like the pickleball, we're just waiting to hear back on the wattage of the lights that we have here to make sure they're right. The BIA, with the closure of the business improvement area in town here, the town has now received funds from the BIA, which is also on agenda for tonight. Pickleball and tennis court. Pickleball, the porta potty was installed, and as well we are waiting on details on the wattage of lighting there. Speed radar trailer, we're planning on bringing the trailer back to town with some focus on some streets such as Main Street, Northern Riverview Avenue, and Carlton Street. Day Adventure Center, we now have 5 of the 7 buildings have now been assigned some tenants for the summer season, and that will end in November. Community garden, the lady that was actually looking after the community garden in previous years with the food bank, she's actually returned. So she's coming back to help out with the community garden. We've also installed a porta potty on site, and some garden items that were mentioned previously in some of the meetings we had, such as a replacement hose has been put on site. The St. Mark's First Community Cemetery, the town has submitted an application for RDC for another $5,000 to complete Phase 3 of the restoration for the Main Street Cemetery. That should be probably the 3rd and final phase for that cemetery. Road work repairs and site work. The asphalt plant coming online. Public Works will address issues on Brunswick Street and Hillcrest. Those areas, certainly some large cracks and bumps, and certainly the opening that we did with Hillcrest. We're engaged in determining some of the best schedules for the grocery store entrance, working with Daniel LeBlanc, just trying to determine a schedule that works for him, so that we're not impeding traffic getting in and out of the grocery store. Mileage expense, the town, along with some other municipalities, is looking at proposing possible adjustments to the town mileage reimbursement amount due to rising fuel cost. We're also working with the RDC on the Regional Service Commission is going through much the same process. Splash pad, the splash pad is scheduled to be reopened in June. We should be having an official opening this year, and actually the guys were on site today bringing it up, and it's just needs to have the switch turned on, so it is ready to go now. Riverview in Maine, we're still waiting some information on the park land at corner of Riverview in Maine from the current owner on just what the future is going to hold there. The gazebo on Main Street, the shingling of the roof is expected to be completed this week. As far as complaints, we've received a few complaints of unruly behavior here at the J.O. Spinney courts. Our CMP were advised, and we're working with them whenever they need for access to security cameras and such. There was a trash issue with the Day Adventure Center, Main Street, and at 40 Main Street as well. So lots of trash, unfortunately, being thrown around. One other thing to note with regards to the RCMP, town just needs to certainly acknowledge that Brent Allaby, a longtime member, is retiring this year. His last date of work will be in June of this year. So we certainly want to acknowledge the work that he's done here for the community. And that is it for community updates.
Thank you, Jason. Questions?
The bathrooms here are going to be open. What are the hours in the bathrooms?
They stay open all night.
All night long?
Yeah, we can't come up in the evening and lock them up, unfortunately. So that's why we typically will leave one open and keep the other one locked to kind of rotate them through a little bit. So yeah, you can have some problems with that sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
I have 3 points to make. The first one is I met a resident the other day who was coming to launch a boat at the Day Adventure Center, and he felt that by that time we would have the ramps. Where are the ramps are going to be installed?
The docks,
Yeah.
actually, they will be installed this month. This month of May.
This month?
Yep.
In May?
Yes.
Okay.
Usually late May. We don't really have a
Okay,
set
because
date.
he was a bit disappointed that he could not launch his boat. The second thing that I want to remark is the proposal that we ask the province to actually do something about the Mount Pleasant Road, and that has been pursued by everybody, the council, the mayor, our MLA. Where is the holdup? Well, we don't ask for more money. We ask for essentially reallocation of existing allocations to a place where it's mostly needed. So where is this thing?
At this point, I mean, we've communicated with senior officials with DTI, and it's just them making a decision that changing what they originally planned to put the money into, which was Riverview Avenue, northern Riverview Avenue, and changing it to either Mount Pleasant or Funday Bay Drive is something that they want to do. So we've yet to hear that. We're talking with them weekly to see if once we can get an update. Because things need to be tendered. We are losing some time here. We will have other contractors in town doing road work. So to get someone mobilized to come back, we're still going to be maybe looking at a project into itself. So it's important to probably find that out sooner rather than later, but it's ultimately right now with the province.
Have they given us any indication as to when they will be able to make a decision?
Not at this time, no.
Can we ask them for that?
Right. We have. I mean, they just say that they're having discussions internally, I guess. Can I put a timeline on things with them? I mean, I suppose we could. Ultimately, it's their money. It's really their project.
It's our money too. We are putting some money
yeah,
there, right?
It's taxpayer money, exactly.
Yeah.
So it does come from them. It's their budgeted funds. So we really can't. Besides asking, I guess that's all we can really do at this point.
The last point I want to make is a lot of things that we try to do are becoming moving targets as prices change, and I just noticed the pickleball court brought some quotes, and one of them was issued like May 5 or May 22. It's good for 7 days. So I mean, everything seems to, and I noticed that we have a lot of things which are now awaiting a requoting, and the time is passing, and it's very frustrating.
It is. Certainly, the sensitivity with fuel prices doesn't help things. It's changing all the time. So typically in the past, you'd get a quote. It would be good for 30 days. We're getting a lot of quotes now for 2 weeks just because of the changes with fuel costs. So it does make things difficult.
Okay.
Certainly.
If there are no any other questions, you have one question? Go ahead.
The walking trail, is that the coastal link you're
Yes.
talking about?
Yep.
So we just got a few things to finalize that, and then we can move forward on that? Is that
Yeah,
what
the
we're saying?
project's not being done by the town. It's being done by Coastal Link Trail itself
Okay.
through the Service Commission.
Okay, and the municipal reimbursement, is that something that we should talk about in a different type of meeting?
Yeah, once we once we've gathered the information, we'll certainly have something to present to council. Yeah.
Okay.
That will affect significantly our budget?
I don't believe so, because we've really, in the last 4 years, we've never done a mileage.
That's what I'm
I
saying.
shouldn't really say that. Maybe in the last 3 years, it's been previously used, and I think 2019 might have been the last time we've done any type of fuel reimbursement. So that's really been it.
Yeah, but our general fuel costs for the vehicles that the town owns is also going to be impacted.
Not on this. No,
Not
this
on
would be like a reimbursement if
the employees.
council or staff uses like a personal vehicle.
So you wouldn't use the government rate?
Oh my God,
The
The
45
provincial
cents?
government rate,
Yeah.
which hasn't been changed since 2013.
Yeah, but it's still better than nothing. When you have,
That's
when
what
you,
we
when
use
you've
right
had
now.
nothing,
But
yeah.
I guess, that's what the discussion item is that the province hasn't adjusted theirs, so we can either wait for the province or, do kind of what we may feel is right.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Okay. So we can move on to an update on local government reform. Jason.
Thank you, Your Worship. So just a couple items just to update council on for local government reform. Greg Lutz has been named the facilitator for the local government reform for our entity 53. Greg is also working on a couple other entities with facilitation. The advisory committee has narrowed down the large list of names submitted down to 8 possible names, and of those 8 names, the province has returned with 3 favorable names. So fortunately, at this point, we can't really say what those 3 are. What's the next step, I guess, is really where we're at to determine what will be the successful name. So there's still some other entities that are still picking names. There's some that have already provided names. So we're just in the middle of the group here.
Any news about the maps?
The maps are finalized?
Yes,
Yes?
they have been finalized.
Yep.
And they are now in a Google format?
Not yet. No, we haven't received any type of map data.
No map data.
Which is what we'd like to get, especially as a municipality that we can share with residents.
Okay.
So not at this point.
Any questions? No questions. And we'll move on to the fire report. Chief.
Thank you, Your Worship. For the month of April, a little bit busier month, typical. Maybe not as busy as the average April. 17 incidents, the majority of which are grass fires, which is normal. A little further down in my report, I talk about the weather. You can disregard that. It was quite wet leading up to this week, and of course the weather's changed. And we're already into no fire index. The humidity level, the wind, and the temperatures have got us in a no burn situation. We attended yesterday a forest fire north of town. We had to bring in the water bombers. It burnt probably 30 acres. So it's just like that. It changes, and that's where we are. So if you're listening out there, no fires right now until we get some wet weather. Training, we finally wrapped up the Firefighter 1 theory, which was 2 nights a week all winter. Glad to be done that. Deputy Chief Derek Hatt received his NVCC certification as a fire service driver operator, and we've got several others that are working towards that. Equipment, not much to report. Stuff are on back order, and I'm waiting on a salesman to come and size up the firefighters for bunker gear. I hope to make a move on the radio equipment. Still trying to assess exactly what our best move is there in terms of where to spend the money. This new system, it's complicated, I think, really to navigate on a fire like we had last night, where it's interagency. If you've got, ambulance, RCMP, DNR, the system will work. It does allow for all of those agencies to communicate, but it's not that simple. They all have dedicated channels that they have to be listening to, just like us. So when Comm Center sets up a mutual aid channel, if you switch to the mutual aid channel to talk to these other agencies, you're not listening to your priority channels. So the tendency is to go over to the mutual aid channel, give a message if anybody's there listening, and then jump back to your priority channel in case you have another emergency that comes up. So you kind of have to get on the telephone or get a dispatcher to call someone and tell them, okay, now you got to switch over to the mutual aid channel. It's a nightmare. It does work, but not very well. So the long story short, you have to have a bunch of radios on a bunch of channels so that you can figure out where people are and talk to them. And we were in a situation the other night where it was dark and we had a bunch of radios lined up, and somebody said something, but if you're not looking at the radio, you don't know which radio they called you on. So it's, how do you talk back to them? So we're learning how to use this, and it's a challenge. But we'll figure it out. I guess that's all I really have to say. Any questions?
So is 12 not very high for grass fires for the month of April?
No, not really.
Oh, okay.
No, that's, I hate to say it, but that's probably a record low.
Oh, is it?
I
That's good,
enjoy to
no.
say that, but I don't want to, I don't want to jinx us, I guess. All right.
Is there any testing of fire hydrants that happens during the season?
Testing of fire hydrants,
Yeah.
you're talking to the wrong department.
Oh, wrong
That
department.
is the water department.
Okay.
They flow water through specific ones, and others, I would say, probably never get turned on, based on my experience.
So you don't have any,
In my opinion, they should all get tested at
Yeah,
some point or
yeah.
another, but I don't run that department, so
Okay.
I'm not gonna say anymore.
so it's not part of your,
No, we pay an X number of dollars a year as a fire department to the water department to have use of their hydrants.
okay, so have to follow up with someone.
Unless there's an emergency, I have to ask permission to even look at them.
Yeah, no, I know some I know some fire hydrants next to the Catholic Church that appear to have been vandalized. Somebody has removed a cap,
Yeah.
and
That's because they were flushing them.
they were flashing them.
Yeah, they put it
Okay.
on the next day.
Oh, they put it there. Okay,
Yeah.
okay. I
And
just
and they
want,
were doing that last week, actually.
But
Okay.
you bring up a valid point.
Yeah.
If they're not flushed by the water department, and somebody happened to take a cap off and drop a rock or whatever down in there, it happens, and we come to it and hook up to it, it may work, it may not work, it may plug our pumper, so it is important. I couldn't really comment on how many are flushed, but I know there are some that are probably never looked at.
okay. Any other questions?
Well, I need to ask why. Why wouldn't they all be flushed? Why wouldn't that be part of your maintenance program?
Just certain water, depending on really where they're at, what junctions they're at, if they're, maybe middle of line hydrants, so, they're not all part of a flushing system.
The flushing of hydrants is more to do with maintaining the water system.
Yeah.
So they'll flush dead end lines or major lines. It's not really about the fire hydrants, it's about the water mains.
Okay.
So, but there should be a fire hydrant component on my part, but like anything that takes work, costs money. There's a lot of hydrants. But it would be nice if maybe there was a schedule whereby they got looked at, every 5 years or something. Like some of them, as I mentioned, are getting open multiple times a year, and others probably never. Those ones that are never, even if they get open every 4 or 5 years, it would be helpful. But it takes time and money.
I thought they were going to another program. They were thinking about doing alternate ones.
Yeah.
Like last year, they were.
Yeah.
Okay. But you're right, there are.
But there'd still be some, even if you
Oh, yeah, for
alternate it,
sure.
right? There would be, for sure.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
And the next one is building and planning report.
Thank you, Your Worship. I am delivering the planning report on behalf of Alex Henderson, our planning director. I'll start with planning updates. The first one is that the Service Commission hosted a community discussion session on the St. George Municipal Plan background study last week. We've gathered a lot of helpful information from the community, and those comments and questions will be incorporated into the latest draft of the background study. Also, we had a great turnout rate for that session. I think we had about 15 people plus or minus, so that's awesome that we had that community engagement in that municipal plan revision process. The second item is that PRAC has provided its written views to council on the proposed bylaw number 25B-22-02, the one we just talked about in the public hearing earlier today. And they have no concerns, so if council decides to proceed with the adoption of the bylaw, you are free to do so. The next item is that we have already developed a digital, fully online permit application process. You can find that link on our website. So from now on, if people want to apply for anything like sign permit, building permit, development permit, they can just go onto our website, fill out the application. So your address, your PID, what you're doing, and submit your plans, and boom, you click and you're good to go. You don't have to visit our office. You don't have to call us. You don't have to fill out anything on paper. So really to digitize the process and make it easier and, kill less trees. For development update, we have issued 6 building and development permits to date in 2020. The total construction value to date is about $460,000. And we have 1 development officer variance issued for a backyard setback for a greenhouse. So that's it from me. I'm open for questions and comments.
What was that with the greenhouse?
It's a development officer variance on rear yard setback. So the greenhouse is placed a bit too close to the rear lot line, and they applied for a variance to do that.
That's an interesting point, because I had a person who actually was inquiring what are the requirements for this Canadian Tire type of structures.
It depends on the zone, so I don't know the specifics on this file, but it really depends on the zone. So for residential zones, it's certain feet from the back line. If it's a commercial zone, it's certain feet from the back line. So it really depends on which property you're talking about.
Okay. Jason, do you know you probably know about the person that I'm talking about who actually complained, but just wondering what are the rules for this Canadian Tire? I see many people who are actually building one. I mean, Debbie's Flower Shop made one just to actually make a kind of a hobby thing. People are building this. What are the rules for this?
I don't recall the one for the Canadian Tire one, but this one here in particular was an actual wooden structure, an accessory building. So, they would be different for like temporary structures.
Okay.
They'd be.
So they have a foundation and all that.
Right.
Okay,
Yeah.
I got you. Okay. Any question? Thank you very much for coming today again. And we'll move on to water and sewage report. Jason again.
Thank you, Your Worship. Water and wastewater report for the month of April, prepared by Leonard Lee, foreman. Average daily water consumption for April was 266,096 imperial gallons for a total of 7,982,900 imperial gallons. Well, number 2 was not included this month's total because it was being out of service for half a month for the upgrades. There's no total coliform or E. coli reported. Well, number 2 upgrades are continuing with most of the yard work done. The gas line, the electrical conduit, and 4-inch water line were installed and buried. The inside of the well is presently being backfilled for preparation of replacing the concrete floor, which will be poured at the same time as the generator pad. The ballards to protect the well casing were also installed there too. We hope to have the well back online at the end of May. Some items of the 4-inch inside manifold have been back ordered until September. New 6-inch line was a new 6-inch line at True North Salmon has been turned on as well. The hydrant at the end of Birch Lane had a 2.5-inch hose nozzle changed as they match another community set of ours. Results are also submitted with his report. And that's the water and wastewater report.
Questions?
Have you seen any water uptake since you turned on the other 6-inch line, the new one?
Nothing noticeable.
Any more usage? No.
No. I mean, we would probably catch more of that doing meter readings.
Yeah.
So.
How close we are to the limits of pumping capacity?
Oh, we're quite a ways.
We're quite a
off,
ways.
yeah.
Okay. All right. Any other question? And we'll move on to transportation report.
Thank you, Your Worship. Transportation report, month of April, prepared and submitted by Leonard Lee, foreman. Sweeping has begun with the sidewalks completed and the streets around 50% complete. Hydraulic motor went in the now 10-year-old sweeper. We priced one with the dealer, and it was $2,400. We had one from a local dealer at $1,300. The brushes and the brooms were replaced as well. Some of the plows and equipment have been taken to the lagoon for the season. With the rest, will be taken sometime at the end of May. Handwork is completed. The sidewalk cleaning is also done. This is required as the sidewalk tractor can't reach the driveway drop downs. The vacuum sweeper, which is a contractor, should be here at the 1st of May. The line painter for the center line and some traffic lines should be here at the end of May. The solar light was installed at Macadavic Place, Spinney Drive here. Walkways have been closed off to vehicles for the summer months. The trailer mount speed sign was used for 2 weeks around town and returned to Hemlock Knoll. A couple of windows were boarded up as their paintings fell out at the Day Adventure Center. A number of stumps were dug out around town. The asphalt was cut out in front of the independent store in preparation of asphalt as soon as the plant's open and flushing is complete. 2 lights were installed above the basketball court skate park here. The battery and pads at the Civic Center defibrillator were changed as they expired and were set to expire. Question mark signs taken down around the town. That was question mark signs for the former VIC. Work is progressing at Canal with the disconnection of power from the canteen so that the poles can be moved and the canteen as well. We recently picked up 6 replacement acrylic steel light globes for stock. So those would be the Main Street street light globes. And that is the transportation report.
Questions? I got a complaint about the hydrant in front of the post office. Somebody broke. It's actually almost disassembled. You know, the old.
Oh, the town pump?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, it looks bad.
Okay.
Can we fix that? Is it something?
Definitely take a look at it. It does sometimes, if the handle's up, it looks bad as well. It's not a functioning.
I know, but
sometimes people pull up
when
on
I
it.
walked, it looked like somebody has either removed or bent something or.
Definitely, we'll definitely take a look at that.
Okay, and there are no more questions. We'll move to bills paid and payable. In principle, April 30th, 2022, in the amount of $230,777. Yes. So, then I guess, do you want to add anything to the report, Jason? No. Okay, so questions.
So did we finish salt and sand? 22, is that good, bad, or indifferent? Is that?
Had to be fair.
How does that compare with other?
It wasn't good.
It was
Our
good.
salt was definitely up this year. We had a lot of ice.
Okay.
I could certainly send something out to council. I think maybe you could just have a good comparison.
Yeah,
So
I just
council's aware. So yeah, it was a rough year for salt this year.
Was there an increase on the monthly rental at the medical center? Was there an increase?
A monthly increase?
Yeah, I'm looking at the total, and maybe I thought it was less than what is there?
Yeah, no, nothing.
I thought it was 15, it's 18, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
For the beautification land rehab, what did we use that money for?
That?
Yeah.
I'm not sure. What was
If
it?
I'm reading it correctly.
What was it?
It just says, I think if I understand correctly, it says just $53.17.
Oh.
What is that for?
Do you have a page number?
It's section. Yeah. It's
It's budget line.
yeah. It's 0137400 or 3580.
not sure if it's, yeah, we spent $53 out of the 10,000.
But it's great to know that we have that sort of money allocated, if I understand correctly, allocated for projects like that, so.
Right.
Okay.
Things like that could have been, maybe I'm just thinking that maybe it would have been signed at the end of JO Spinning Drive,
Oh, okay.
beautification type thing. So
Sure.
I can certainly.
I do have a question around the EJ excavation of $9,039. So, I guess there's a couple of questions. I need to have a little bit of clarification as to, that is for the carrying or the transfer of soil from the lagoon to that space, to exit 53, or to 52 rather. For the excavator and for the dump truck.
Yes.
Is that just one bill, or?
That's just one bill. That's the total.
That's
lot
just one
cost.
bill, but when we talked about this last month,
So that would, I think you're thinking about running gravel, like using some fill perhaps from the
well,
lagoon?
when we talked about it last month, the funds are, it states in the general report that the funds for improvement for lot near exit 52 came from the roadworks site development budget, okay? Recent fill was taken from storage at the lagoon and only cost the use of the excavator of $2,000.
Yeah, that would have been, we would have shipped, our trucks would have shipped the material there. So that would have been an excavation use. I don't
But then, so I guess maybe I need a little, I'm asking for some clarification around the 9,000, like what does that cover?
So that would have been one full project I think he was there for 4 days, doing work of leveling what you see now. There was
Okay.
fill that was introduced, as well as there was rock barriers that were put up.
Yes, I saw that, yeah.
So yeah, so that was the full, I think it was 4 days actually that he was there.
Is this budgeted money?
That would have come out of the road work.
Road work, okay.
Yes. Was it more than what we anticipated? Yes, it was. It was
Yes.
definitely more than what was anticipated. Perhaps an extra full day that was spent there that, we didn't foresee that would have had to been spent there.
So I guess I know that when I had inquired about it while it was going on, the purpose of this was to beautify the property for sale. Do we have a interested buyer?
We've had a number of interested organizations. None have actually, we haven't put it back out to RFP.
Okay.
Simply because when we originally put out the RFP, feedback we received was that, the lot wasn't really ready, wasn't close to really being somewhat presentable to them. There is a brook there, there's some complications there with Wawa. So we did get the Wawa permits to do some mediation there. So there's a large mound that was there was some fill that was added. So is it really 100% where it should be ready for development? No, but it's pretty good presentable there now. We've opened up a larger parking area. The lot didn't cost us anything. It was $0. So the goal there is to make that lot certainly appealing for a developer, highway commercial at some point. What else is left to be done? Some additional fill, some culvert work. But nothing in this year. It would have to be in the future years, because certainly as I've mentioned, we probably exceeded more than what we expected for this year. Much the same. There was some billing with E.J. Smith. Work that was done around the drainage for the other property that we have.
Yeah, I saw that as well.
So,
I didn't know if it was
we've
related.
done some development there. I mean, a lot of this starts with drainage, as we know. We're doing the subdivision discussions now. It's sort of how you start with development and work your way from there. So whether it's the exit 52 lot with a stream that's functioning there, some of these things have to be addressed now before you move on to a developer. Certainly.
Well, with the new drainage policy, is that going to affect, do we have to create or look after the drainage before we even can move forward on selling in any of these
I mean,
properties?
for a developer, if some of that is addressed now, then it makes it more appealing. to know that, there's already been a Wawa permit approved for that site that the town has acquired and received. It starts, they can, as a developer, then reference that's been already done. So we've already done some of the legwork. So with the other lot, the other Brunswick Street lot, again, we're going to be going to developers. We have one potential developer for apartment building there, another one in the other lot, and asking them for sort of a preliminary view, looking at drainage. We didn't really want to, the reason why we had to do work at that lot, there's a culvert there that starts everything, and if we were to go ahead and start doing development, everything comes back to this culvert having to be removed at that point. It'd be a substantial amount of money to do. So.
Okay. That was my question.
Any other question? So I would need a motion for the approval of the bills paid and payable for the amount of $230,777.89.
I'll make that.
All in favor?
Aye.
And we are moving on to new businesses. 9A is the third and final reading of Bylaw 25B 2202, an amendment of zoning bylaw 25B. Somebody's going to do the reading?
Yeah, sure. So really, this is the third and final reading. We did, as mentioned earlier, with the building development report. We have received back from the PRAC their views, and they have no concerns. And we've also received within their building and development report certainly no concerns there from the staff of the Service Commission. So we can move to third and final reading for this amendment.
Okay. Are there any questions? No? Okay, so
Your Worship, this would be just by title only. Third and final reading for bylaw number 25-B 2022-02, and it's the bylaw to amend the bylaw number 25-B of being a zoning bylaw for the town of St. George.
So I will ask for a motion.
I'll make the motion to accept the third and final reading for bylaw 25B-002 and the amendments of the zoning bylaw 25-B for St. George.
I'll second. Oh, go ahead.
All in favor? We'll move on to item 9B, Town Memorial Bench and Tree Program. Jason.
Yes, Your Worship. So this is something that residents and non-residents have asked for. A lot of other municipalities are doing this. So this is just a memorials program. We've had a bit of a pilot program for the last couple of years just to sort of gauge interest, but we haven't really promoted it. So really what this is, there would be a certain type of a memorial bench with a plaque that a person could purchase. Memorial trees as well, with or without a plaque, that a person could purchase in memory of someone. And so we do have a bit of a form bench in town here that many people have seen them in different areas. That's sort of a municipal bench that's supposed to be long-term, durable. Other municipalities are using them as well, so that would be one with a plaque. The same bench would be at the Dunwoody corner. And as far as the memorial tree, I guess we're just kind of sort of hung up on, what type of tree to get. I know some experts in horticultural, and, maybe they can help us determine what type of a tree, when to plant these trees. So, that's, I guess, what we're looking at. I've just opened up to any type of feedback or suggestions on this.
So what idea is it? Fencing a tree? Well, what's the
It could be both. I mean, I guess it's one or the other. I mean, there's certainly a cost to this as well for the person. So if they want to put a tree and a bench, I don't think I have really a costing rate on this, but I think it was somewhere around for the bench, it was perhaps around $1,500 to $1,800 for the bench. And that's not full cost for the person. We, as a as a town, view it as also inventory for us, so we like to see some benches, so I think there's about additional $500 cost to the town for installing the bench and such. With the trees, again, we're just determining what type of a tree. We do have actually a pending request from the family of Bruce Dunwoody to erect a tree at Dunwoody Corner, thus named for their family. So we're still sort of, working through that to make some final determinations on what type of a tree and when to plant these. We wouldn't want to get a sapling that doesn't survive because we're choosing the wrong type of tree, shade and such. So I guess, that's what we're kind of looking at there now.
It would have to be a fairly large tree.
That's what I'm saying, for vandalism.
Like I said, I have a black thumb, so I don't talk to
No,
me
no,
about planting a tree.
yeah.
Well, I noticed here it says trees are under warranty for 2 years.
Yes, so I guess if somebody came and, ripped up a tree,
Yeah.
if it's, or if it, dies because of,
Whatever reason, yeah.
yes,
Okay.
exactly, yeah.
Teenagers
That's
break.
Right, right, we wouldn't want to, especially where it's, any type of memorial there's certainly a certain emotion attached to it.
Yeah.
We don't really want to have to go back to them a year later and say,
Oops.
Yeah.
so,
So it would have to be a fairly large tree.
Pretty
at the
event,
beginning.
right, yes.
So that was for information.
Yes, for information, any type of feedback we can get from council on, determining, I guess that's sort of the last piece is the tree part. And like I said, we do have we have a pending file on this of just determining the tree. So I think once we get that, took a while to determine a bench, which would be a good suitable long-term bench for the town. We looked at a lot of other municipalities with the previous council, and that was sort of the best view that we have now is for the benches that we currently have. So
So we have the bench, but we need the tree.
correct. Yeah.
Okay, any other question, comment? Move on to item 9C, results of tender, road paving 2022-03. Jason.
Yep, thank you, Your Worship. So this is tender 2022-03 road paving. So we posted April the 12th for this RFP through direct invites and with advertising with open entry. We closed this on May the 6th at 1 p.m. We received 2 submissions. Both are including HST. One is NRB construction for $354,545, and another from Galbraith Construction for $787,179. No other submissions were received. Pricing does not include the HST rebate that the town receives. So just to remind, this was for paving tender for work on Carlton Street, Armstrong Crescent, Birch Lane, and Kennedy Court. NRB, just as a matter of a note, NRB is also engaged in paving this year for Marsh Lane. So we're pleased to see that they've also submitted for this.
That's a huge difference between the 2 quotes, right?
What is huge? Why is there such a huge difference? It is a huge difference.
It seems, yeah, it seems crazy.
Yeah, why? I guess that there's something that wanted, I guess they want to submit something.
Who, the 750?
Yes.
They just wanted to put it in, so they wave their flags. Okay. Are there specifications about what kind of paving we're getting?
Yes, that was. It was all outlined in the RFP.
RFP, okay.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
St. John.
St. John? So it's not the company from Fredericton that we dealt with?
No. Both of these contractors are road builders as well.
So I guess do you need an approval from us for actually?
Yes.
Okay. So
I'll make that motion that we give the tender to NRB, given the volatile prices of fuel. I think we
Absolutely.
better look at that tender right away.
absolutely.
Yeah.
I'll
Do you
second
have a
that.
deadline, by the way, to actually put the order in?
What's that?
If they're underneath our projections,
Yes. I mean,
they're all underneath what we projected back, 6 weeks ago.
Second.
Yeah.
they're all less money than what we thought they would be
Okay,
6
that's
months
good,
ago.
that's good.
So I say if
Change
they're
by
less money,
tomorrow.
we'll get involved.
Yeah, I still have that feeling.
Okay, can I have the motion, please, to declare a motion, and, okay, and all in favor?
All right.
So we have a tender to be given tomorrow, or to actually order.
Just a note on that there too, as Councillor Armstrong mentioned, I mean, it is lower, because originally we quoted almost per street, whereas, you know, this RFP was for the total project, so we did get a little savings, but we probably would have better savings if fuel costs would have been, you know, stale, but unfortunately not.
Would they be able to start that like
Tomorrow?
once the plant's open?
Yeah, I mean, it really depends on some timelines for them. We'll get back to them this week.
June.
June, 1st of June?
I couldn't say. I'd have to check with their schedule, yeah.
Okay, moving on to item 10, all business, which is no business, no old business, and correspondence. We have no correspondence. That's good. I miss anything?
Oh, we did have BIA.
Say again? Oh, where is it?
Oh, yes, it's over here.
Oh, it's on the amended one, okay. I heard that Jason speaking about the BIA in his report, but, okay, no, we have another item introduced in the agenda, was the BIA,
Allocation of the former BIA.
allocation of the former BIA funds. Jason, you want to speak about it?
Yes, Your Worship. So, as council may recall, we basically pulled back the BIA bylaw. I think that was, I don't recall the timeline on that, unfortunately, but so that was done, I believe, earlier this year or late last year. I think so. So with that, the BIA was dissolved, and so the BIA is sent off a letter, the former BIA, with the BIA treasurer, just telling us the allocated funds. We've received a check from the BIA today as well. And they wish these funds, since they were collected from the Main Street BIA area, for earmarking the funds for the Main Street area, for things such as beautification for Main Street.
So the item is for information?
I'd like to have a motion of council, since it's funds, it's unbudgeted funds, just
To accept the money?
well, we've accepted the money, but we just need to council's permission to move it to Main Street improvements, and
Okay.
for allocation of for those type of purchases, and I guess we'd look at later on what actually that is.
So essentially, we need a motion to actually allocate this money we just received for improvements on the Main Street.
I make that motion that we allocate the funds for Main Street improvement.
I'll second it.
And all in favor?
Right.
And no old business and no correspondence. And public presentation and appearances. Anyone is here to speak? No? And we'll move on to statements by members of council, and let's start from the left.
I actually don't have anything to say tonight.
Quiet meeting. Councilor Delegations, do you have anything to say?
Yeah, it's in light of the local government reform. In light of the news that we have a new facilitator, I think it would be very important if someone on the advisory committee could appoint someone as a note taker, so people, like folks in the public, and members of council who are not on the advisory committee can have an idea of what's going on and what's scheduled to go on.
Am I allowed to bite my tongue here?
It's not allowed.
Yeah, I'll bite my tongue.
I do, yes, I would like to comment on the recent St. George News Network YouTube that told us that St. George has the deadliest streets, some of the deadliest streets in Canada. If people would like to move to our town or visit, saying that we have some of the most dangerous streets in Canada has done irreparable harm to our image. And I was delighted to see that former councillor Ronnie Cousins, who lives on Riverview Avenue for 25 years, responded to that broadcast. And I quote something for her response where she said, "For council to not find a long-term solution to the speeding problem is negligent and irresponsible," is what Mr. Armstrong said. And she says here, "If controlling speeding is the responsibility of every municipality across the country, I guess they're all negligent and irresponsible. What strikes me as being irresponsible," this is what she said, "is not acknowledging that this is a policing issue beyond the scope of council's mandate, apart from communicating their concerns to the RCMP and the Department of Public Safety." And I did take exception to that we have some of the most dangerous streets in Canada. All I want to say.
Councillor Coulton.
I too did take exception to that because it was stated that I made a specific statement to the Telegraph, which I didn't, but then again, I'm going to move on to Family Fun Days. We've got some good response. We're trying to get a parade organized, and I'm asking everybody out there, if you want to volunteer, contact the town council. And I've got some people on here in the town council that are going to help me whether they want to or not. And that's all I've got to say.
I have nothing at this point.
Wow.
No comment?
Yeah.
Okay, that's a quiet sense. Okay.
I could,
Brenda?
Oh, go ahead. You know you want to.
Just wanted to let everyone know that music will be starting on Thursday night, starting June the 9th. I also would like to thank Brent DeKai for making a beautiful box that he made for Hillary, for the Hillary Hungry thing. It was beautiful. He did a great job. And to all the volunteers that helped out that weekend, that Saturday, it was a great success. And Patty and Tommy, they do an excellent job when it comes to the food bank and everything. I just want to thank the residents for giving donations and their time and coming out and that. And so I hope everyone has a good month, and we'll see y'all at music night.
When is the first music night again?
June the 9th.
June, yeah.
And let me win my thing here, and I can tell you who it is. Maybe not. I had written down at home. Sorry, I didn't bring it with me. June the 9th will be the Richard Sisters that will be playing that night. That's all I have to say.
Well, I will have a comment to make about the not taking of the facilitated meetings. This provision has been taken off the table by the direction of the province. So there is very little that the participants can do to change that. Municipalities are the arm of the province, and the province is twisting our arm. That's a pun. The other thing which I want to say, I will repeat again if anybody listens to it. Mount Pleasant Road needs to be fixed because it's a really bad situation, and I hope something is going to happen. So if anyone from the province, maybe our MLA is listening, maybe she can make another call and see what can we do with it. And the last point that I want to mention is the council came together with the idea of a time capsule that we will seal on December 31st, 2022, in commemoration of the St. George municipality's demise, and we're probably going to put something there to be reopened when there is a resurrection. So, and that's all from the mayor, and that's all for the council. And
Make the motion to adjourn.
okay, so we are all done.